Welcome or welcome back. This is Pairs Well Knitting. I'm Jennifer, and this is a knitting podcast all about knitting, yarn adventures, and travel. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'm thrilled to be sharing all about Knit City Toronto 2024, but in addition, the top 10 tips to help you enjoy your best knit festival or knitting event in this year to come. We will get into all of this. What I'm going to be talking about are the pre-events, the meat and potatoes of Knit City that I experienced, and of course the tips to help you enjoy your upcoming potential fiber festival. What I'm wearing the Knit City tee. This is my very first purchase of anything knit event merchandise that I have in my possession, and I bought this on site on the Saturday during the marketplace. It called to me because I love the simplistic minimalism of this t-shirt, not normally a t-shirt wearer, but of course the colors are speaking to me. It serves as a lovely memory of the events of the weekend of Knit City Toronto. It's been a fun one. Moving on, I'm going to share about the particulars about Knit City, obviously Knit City Toronto that I attended, and then we will get into the little tips and tricks that I've been learning as a newer attender of all of these fiber festivals as we move forward. There are two Knit Cities that happen annually. These are organized by Knit Social, by a partnership of Amanda and Fiona, who do a lovely job of organizing these weekend events for fiber enthusiasts. In the past, this side of the country was hosting Knit City in Montreal, where that happened, I believe, for 3 years. And we have now in Toronto have had the pleasure of hosting Knit City here. It seems to be, I've looked at the website, that they're actually going to start flip-flopping back and forth. So 2024 was here in Toronto in May. This happens over the long weekend of our Victoria Long Day weekend. And they're moving next year back again to Montreal. And then it seems in 2026 back to Toronto. So an interesting little flippy bit of locations. There is another Knit City that happens as well over in the west. And this year will be Calgary. So exciting and so fun. So these are Canadian knitting events that occur. They also, on a side note, Knit Social also does excursions, or I should say knitting trips. I do not have any experience with those yet, but hopefully one day will for sure. I do want to preface as well that I have attended Knit City Montreal 2 years ago now. I went with 2 other friends on the train. It was a lovely experience, but very different, I feel, to my Knit City Toronto experience. So we will base all of our information on Knit City Toronto. Knit City is hosted over 3 days. In particular for Knit City Toronto, this was down by the lake at the Western Harbour Castle, which is a big hotel and conference center. The weekend is split into 3 days of events. The Friday is the intro, is the welcoming and kickoff. So first of all, that will include courses or workshops that are hosted by fiber enthusiasts and experts that teach and instruct during the days for ticketed courses. In the evening, there's a kickoff event. On the Saturday and Sunday look fairly similar. These are the bulky pieces of the weekend, of course, and this is the marketplace. This is where vendors go to sell their goods, and as the Patreons, we have purchased tickets, and you attend in shopping, and of course many social pieces that we're going to get into. During that time of the marketplace, there's also workshops going on behind the scenes that of course is ticketed as well, that you could have purchased in advance to attend these courses. And that's pretty much the bulk of the weekend. There is an event as well that happens on the Saturday evening. And I believe with different Knit City events could be looking a little different. With Toronto this year, they had a games night that was hosted. And that's pretty much Knit City in general. I will talk about, of course, my experiences, and I'm going to move back before Knit City even began. And I want to talk about the Knitting Loft. The Knitting Loft, which is definitely just this gem of a yarn shop here in Toronto. They're actually in the north of Toronto, in North York, I believe, hosted and owned by the mother-daughter team, Bruna and Maria. They invited and partnered with the Wandering Flock, who is an American hand dyer and team that came up from the United States for Knit City, but at the Knitting Loft on the Thursday evening, before even the kickoff of Knit City happened, the Wandering Flock came up to the yarn shop to showcase and present, even ahead of time of Knit City, their new yarn base, which was a summer yarn base. Always gorgeous colors from the Wandering Flock. And people were invited, knitters were invited to attend. It wasn't a ticketed event, it was a drop-in, squish, feel, chat, and it was lovely. In addition to the Knitting Loft event partnering with the Wandering Flock, they also hosted Sasha Heyer, who's a designer and author of Island Vibes, and she is a knitter that has designed and created and also has a book out, Island Vibes, of all summer island vibey knits. I met everyone. Everyone was so gracious and lovely, chatting and obviously getting so excited about all the things they do. It was lovely. I attended that event with Emily from High Fiber Knits, who is just the best human, fabulous knitter, and is just so passionate about everything she does. It was a delight to attend with her and was the kickoff, I think, for our weekend together at Knit City as well. So good, so much fun. Saturday was full on. So here's how we structured the day. Emily from High Fiber Knits and I, we had met up for coffee at Mo's, which is just like a hair shy north of the Western Harbour Castle. So we took our iced lattes to go and we embarked onto the Knit City adventure. We arrived at the Western Harbour Castle just moments later and walked in. This was Emily's very first time at a big fiber event or Knit City for sure. I know she was jazzed. She was so incredibly prepared. She had done, if you haven't watched, a whole video on her planning and prep before we even attended Knit City together of what she wanted to buy, which was just lovely. Super well planned and thought out, of course, because that's her. Myself, on the other hand, I did not do any planning, and I really like the element of surprise and excitement, and that really just resonates with me. I already knew, obviously, some different makers and hand dyers that were going to be there, but I wanted to be surprised, so I actually didn't even look at the vendors that were going to be attending and showcasing their goods, which I feel made me even more excited, I think, for going. So we walk in, get our little bracelet, we start seeing the beautiful sea of sweaters. I love going to yarn shops and especially knitting events because I feel like it is just a parade, a fashion show of fabulous hand knits, and that it was. Many people were doing their best to wear their sweaters, woolly wool be it, or cotton. It was a beautiful thing to see with people and all their makes on. And of course, the energy in the room was just booming. So this is in the conference center, the Western Harbour Castle. The event space was a good size compared to what I feel like I've experienced at the Sheraton in Montreal years past, where it felt very compressed for the amount of vendors and people that attended. This seemed more spaced out, which was lovely. It was a busy spot for sure, but you weren't shoulder to shoulder the entire time, which I feel was great, very refreshing. We had started off by going into one of the booths that Emily had as her number one choice for a hand dyer, I believe from the UK, Botanical Knits, Botanical Yarns, and she got exactly what she wanted, which was perfect for her. I squished, I felt, I talked to the maker, it was lovely, and from there we pressed on. So our theory, and I think it held true, it was good. We ended up basically going from one side of the building and kind of did a zigzag through and up all the different vendors and the aisles, if you will. He definitely hit every vendor from start to end as we went through our Knit City Day at the marketplace. We had hit the merchandise or the merch desk first after the hand dyer. She was looking at getting a bag. I thought, maybe I'll get a shirt. We'll see. When I saw the shirts, I thought they were the cutest. There was another cheeky poo beside me. We were looking at different sizes. She ended up buying a small shirt. I got a medium shirt, and these were the last in stock at the time. I don't know about Sunday, of a small and a medium shirt in this color from Knit City. Pretty exciting. We didn't do a pre-order of merchandise, and so I feel very lucky for what I got and really happy with my shirt. And then we really started going. So Emily and I went into, I think, vendor after vendor, meeting hand dyers and spinners and weavers and all sorts of fiber enthusiasts in between. Many people we knew, many people we didn't, and it was just, it's so good. It was such a positive experience. Everyone was so beyond lovely and just excited to chat, to talk about all the knits, talk about all the yarn. Of course, for us, it was talking about the podcast as well. And I feel so incredibly lucky that people were approaching us saying, oh my gosh, Emily, hi. Oh my gosh, Jennifer, hi. And it was just, it's the best feeling, because I feel when we are on this side of the screen, this is it. I know you're out there. I see the comments. I'm excited to respond to them. But meeting people in person, obviously, is my jam. It's my favorite. And so to see people in person was just so gorgeous and so lovely. So thank you so much if you came and said hi. We took a photo, like, just yay. My heart was just growing 20 million sizes that day. I was in love. It was also super lovely for me to experience this with Emily for the first time. She was getting approached, of course, by all kinds of people, and I think I was able to see it kind of from third party, where I'm seeing Emily, absorb and react in the most warm and lovely way with some of the people that just adore her. And it was so nice. It was so nice. Just a lot of heartfelt moments that went on during our Knit City Exploration Marketplace time. We had bumped into a lot of other, like I said, hand dyers, makers, and podcasters. One of the podcasters that really stands out is Selma from Selma Knits. She's from Ottawa. And we had a really lovely conversation. I believe I had quickly met her at Rhinebeck, but this was a lot more chill than Rhinebeck was. Rhinebeck was just so full on. Some other podcasters that we came across that I knew were going were Jackie and Carmen from Knitting a Good Yarn. Not only were they there, they were helping out at the Sonder yarn booth with Melissa, which was super lovely. They were so generous even with the time that they had, but I knew that they had so many more people to chat with and to meet and to help out with yarn choices. So that was so nice. Other people that we came across that I knew were going and got to see in person and hang out with were the wonderful ladies from Espace Tricot. This is Stephanie, or Steph, and Naomi. They came from Montreal, and it was just a delight to see them again, because we had done the interview months ago in Montreal, so that was super lovely. It was so nice as well that we stumbled upon two other Ontario podcasters. This is Noelle and Kelly from Knits and Pieces, who do their Tuesday Knit Chats live. So lovely to see all of the makers, and I feel like this is totally, our element. In addition, there were knitwear designers there as well, including Julie Hoover. She had a booth where she was selling her yarn, and she had some beautiful designs on display to see and to squish. Side note, she was also up at the Knitting Loft on the Thursday where I met her. It just, wow, amazing. I would not want to forget what I purchased at Knit City, which are these 2 ginormous cakes or plates of unspun in this beautiful pink colorway. This is purchased from Crux Fibers, a hand dyer from Whitehorse in Yukon by Brittany, and it is just gorgeous. We are ready to play with this. These are the biggest plates I've ever seen of unspun. These are 200 grams that are about 588 yards, no meterage on this, but yards of unspun yarny goodness. I cannot wait. It's gonna be awesome. So I think to paint the picture, this wasn't only a super fun yarny shopping event of squishing and smelling and seeing all the yarn, but this was a major knitting social piece where we are meeting people in person, some for the first time, some again from other knitting events that we've attended. And it just brings it home for me. I love the in-person meet and greet. It was spectacular. We had entered the marketplace at 11 a.m. We had been there the entire day up until 4:30 in the afternoon. So by this point, the hunger, the tired, the dehydration was setting in. And so we finally at 4:30 took a proper break, went outside because it was a gorgeous day, and had a little fruit, break, some fresh air, and then a few of us pushed on. So we had pushed on to the Amsterdam Brew House, which is just a little hop, skip, and a jump away along the lake shore. So we had met up with Mel from String Things by Mel. She's a podcaster and knitter from BC, just gorgeous human. And she had a little posse with her coming out for a nibble at Amsterdam Brew House with her friend Sarah from Noel Knits, who's a designer. Just fantastic mix. Naomi from Espace Tricot came along as well. Emily from High Fibre Knits was there, and it was just a nitty, sippy, good time. We had gone from there, and then people kind of split up to do other things that they were doing. I had pressed on. I had a ticket graciously given to me through Karen from Feisty Fibers, and I was able to attend the games night, which was a surprise. I was ready in my brain to head home. I told my partner, love my life, that I'd be home I'm sure 8 o'clock for sure. It was a little past. We attended the games night. There was a group of us there at the back table. We were, I think, maybe the naughty loud table, just having a good time and a little glass of wine. And it was a bingo night. It was fun. I wanted to win, so I was being very naughty and playing multiple cards. I never won. No one at our table won the bingo. It was a nitty bingo because the caveat was not only did you have to have that thing on your square on the bingo card to get or to fill up the square, you had to have whatever it was that was said, it be true. So there was an example I have been knitting for over 50 years. I'm like, not yet, although I'm sure one day we'll get there. So we did not win, which was a little too bad. But I think we won. We won with the friends, we won with the fun, so that was great. And then there was a smaller group of us that was still pushing through and doing all the fiery chats. We had one more cocktail to top off the night. So this girl didn't get home until after midnight. The chariot, of course, changed into a pumpkin overnight, and that's what happens, but that's okay because we had the best day. It was lovely. I have all great things to say about it. I think the organization of the event itself was super well run. The event space was a great place physically because it was big enough. And there was even a little thank you that got sent out by the Knit social group from Amanda and Fiona, just to wrap things off, which I just thought was really nice to tie it up with a little bow, which was great. That was Knit City Toronto 2024. So now I wish to impart some of my experience and smidge of wisdom, knit wisdom, if I will, to you. And I hope that you can use this information to help you have an even more enjoyable knitting event in the future, if it's a festival, a marketplace situation, so that you're going to enjoy it to your max. We are going to now break down the top 10 tips through my experience that I hope will help you have your very best and most fun knitting event, festival, experience in your future, which I hope you're doing, because you should absolutely do this. My number one tip, and this is in no particular order, but I feel like this is a very important one, is food and drink. I have been stuck in the past not having any snacks and having a challenging time accessing food carts or trucks. First of all, the food is, I find, often on the expensive side and not always on the most nutritious. So depending on what kind of person you are, but as someone who needs to eat, I like bringing just a little snack. For example, in the Knit City, I just brought an apple, super portable. I can eat it anytime, not a big deal. If I don't eat it, I'm not going to feel guilty because it doesn't go bad. Bring a water bottle. So depending if you do the research to find out if there's water on site, sometimes these events are physically outside. You may not have access to potable water. You may wish to fill it up so that you stay hydrated. But obviously, if you have access to a building in, I'd say, North America, wherever you may be, you're going to have drinking water. So just bring the water bottle and fill it up as you go, so you don't have to carry around and lug around like a heavy water bottle. I feel even this alone, even if you follow this tip, you're going to do just fine. Other tips I have, we're going to go to number 2. The second tip I have for enjoying your best knitting festival is purchasing tickets early in advance. This actually goes for all tickets if you are keen on attending. So what I would say is, there's usually a date on Instagram, for example, or even on the websites that come out with information to tell you when different tickets will be available for purchase. This usually includes workshops first, in my experience. So if you are interested in a workshop, then you can set a little reminder in your phone and have that pop up on the day of. Purchasing your workshop tickets as soon as you can, because they do sell out quickly, I find, at most events. And then in addition, marketplace tickets are not bad to purchase in advance as well. For example, Knit City Saturday sold out in advance of Saturday. So these are people, like I purchased my marketplace tickets, I think in February, March maybe. But people were purchasing right up until they were not selling tickets at the door, because they did sell out, because they wanted a certain amount maximum of people to attend. So I would say, if you are serious about going, purchase your marketplace tickets before. I also know with tickets, Mel from String Things said that anytime she goes to a knitting event, that she actually purchases the weekend pass, so that gives her the option of attending Saturday or Sunday or both. Yeah, I purchased just Saturday, but I mean, it's up to you. If you're thinking you might do both, or obviously if you're coming in from out of town, or province, state, country, these might be some great tips for you to give a try to, especially if you haven't done that before. My third tip is, if you're interested in merch, this is merchandise that's produced by the knitting event. Purchase it before. They do pre-orders. I've never done it. I'm beginning to think I might get on board with that, because they did have, for example, Knit City, they did have pre-orders for their merchandise that I thought, oh, I don't need. And I feel like I was lucky, because I was able to get a shirt when I wanted, but it was the very last one, and that was like late morning on the Saturday. So just maybe a word to the wise if you're interested. The fourth is to map out and shop ahead. Now, this isn't particularly my jam, because I felt Knit City was so close to home. It was one building, and I considered it a pretty small venue. I didn't feel like I needed to map out, because everything was housed under one roof. So it was fairly simple to navigate. I also know that because it was in Toronto, And from what I had heard, the sprinklings is that there were a lot of Canadian-based companies that attended and small makers. These I feel like I can get if I really wanted to with low shipping costs or free depending. So I didn't feel, again, a massive need to do this for Knit City. However, for Rhinebeck, because it was so big and so different. There's outside vendors, there's inside vendors. It's just massive, especially in comparison. I did really look at the map, and I did, if you remember, I have a video that outlined some tips and tricks for Rhinebeck that I followed and from experience noticed what worked well and what didn't. So I did shop ahead a little bit to give myself some, I think, guidance. I was also solo then, so that really helped me. So that's something you consider, because I know Emily from High Fiber Knits was all about the pre-planning, and it definitely worked for her because she was able to get exactly what she had wanted in the end, which is awesome. The fifth tip I have for you is bring a friend, bring a fiber friend. Now, I will start to say that there were people that were with often a partner, boyfriend, husband, that were seeming so lovely and so patient there with their person, chatting. I love chatting with the partners to find out like, hey, what are you doing? And they've got the bag of yarn, of course, that they're lovely has started filling up over time. I feel like they're the best of sports and what great partners. But I would want to experience this with someone who's as enthusiastic as I am. So this was my first knitting event that I've ever attended with someone, and I feel thrilled that I was able to attend with Emily because I feel like we just had the best time, and I'm so thankful for spending so much time with her. It was amazing. That being said, bring a friend. I would say perhaps if you don't know them that well, that you might want to find out how willing they are to do the things that you're wanting to do. So for example, if you're going to Rhinebeck that is just ginormous, how much of the day are you willing to spend on your feet? Are you willing to be in the rain together? I kind of consider this like a travel companion, where it really needs to be someone that you are compatible with to hang out with and do similar things over time. I feel, that this would really help, I think, boost up the experience in the best way. And I know that for me, going to Knit City with Emily, it was just a delight to share the experience with someone. It was amazing, and I really hope to do other fiber events with other fiber friends. Number 6 on the tips list is the social after. If you are a social person, obviously this is going to resonate with you just perfectly because you're already in it for the people, you're getting energy off them during the day, and maybe there's a little social after or during. Amazing. If you are that kind of person where maybe it isn't always energy giving, I suggest taking a little break, even doing a little walk around solo, maybe going up to the room if you have a hotel room, but then coming out after for the social piece. I find for every conference I've attended, even outside of knitting, this is always one of the funnest pieces because this is when people are getting together, they're chatting, they're loosening up, and you're able really to have great conversations and build those connections, especially in fiber world, because it's the best community out there. So allowing yourself to attend these socials is a big thing. Number 7, a tip. A tip for you that I have is leaving room in your bag or suitcase. Now, I'm going to start with, because I was coming for Knit City blocks away, I think it was a 25-minute walk away from the Western Harbor Castle, I made sure that I had a bag that was big enough to contain yarn. I hadn't filled it up with a lot of stuff, but was easy to carry. I find the little side like canvasy tote is really good for these kinds of events. A backpack, not so much, depending on the space, because I've done this before too. You're bumping into people with with your backpack and it's not nice for them, it's probably not nice for you. So maybe consider leaving the backpack at home, but then having room in your suitcase to tote all of your yarny goodness back to your home. So if you're from out of town or country, that you have left some space, and then don't have that guilt or don't have to get rid of other things like, the jeans and shoes in order to accommodate for your new yarn purchases. So having a little extra space in there for that would be one of those things that you need after a yarny adventure. Tip number 8 is explore the local spots. So this goes kind of outside of that knitting event. This could be other pre-events that you might hear about, follow other people that are active in knitting world. I know down in Rhinebeck, I found out in the aftermath that I missed a knitting event that weekend, and it was hosted at Pick Up Every Stitch. This is a yarn shop that hosts the podcast with Kim and Jonah. I was so sad I missed it. So maybe just having your ears to the ground to find out what's going on. In addition though, exploring the local spots includes the restaurants, the cafes. Get out there. Don't necessarily go to, the cookie cutter Starbucks, because you can go to that anywhere. Do the local things. Go to the local one-off cafes. I feel like those are always, for me, the most exciting and the best, and then you're supporting local businesses as well. Tip number 9 that I have for you is your knit fit. Your knit fit is essential, I feel, for attending a knitting event. It is so much fun to kind of curate what you're going to bring or to wear that day and showcase to the knitting world. I think for you, for us as attenders, it's fantastic that we get to talk about our knits, talk about the designer, the wool we've used, maybe the mods. It's a great piece as well to connect with other people on. And I feel it is just candy for the eyes as you walk through all of the people and knitters as you go. With that it is appropriate for the setting, therefore the heat. Example, I wore a full Canadian wool sweater to Knit City. I wore my tulip sweater that I'm sure you will have seen pictures with in this video, which I feel the color was just off the wall amazing. I will get into details, like I said, in the future of that specific sweater, but it was a little toasty being all Canadian wool. So perhaps being conscious of the weather or what the temperature may be, where perhaps you're going to base your fiber choice on what the weather's going to be like with the heat or the cold. Do you want to touch base on the shoes with that? This is still included in this tip, that you are wearing super comfortable shoes because you will be on your feet for the majority of the time, standing and walking. So something that you are not going to regret wearing, that's going to give you blisters, that's going to be super painful, because if you're in pain, you're not having fun. So make sure it's comfortable footwear. And if it just happens to be cute and go with your outfit, by all means. So that is the knit fit tip that I have for you attending a knitting event. My last tip, which is tip number 10 of your best way to enjoy a knitting event, is your knitting you're bringing with you. I feel it's essential to bring something to knit on at some point, be it either the transit that you're attending or going to your knitting event that you have to work on. This could be during a break that you have. This could be during the social event. But what I would say is that twofold. That for me, my emergency knitting that I always carry with me is something that is portable and something that hopefully is relatively easy. You don't want to have to be looking at a colorwork chart as you're trying to connect with new friends in the fiber world, as you're knitting and trying to give eye contact and look, but it's just a simple rhythmic thing that it's enhancing your enjoyment and experience while you're connecting with other people, or even taking that break, and you don't have to be too mindful about what you're doing. So that's the emergency festival knitting. All right, I think that about sums up my Knit City experience in Toronto. I do want to thank all of the makers that were there. the new people to me, the people that I already knew. A massive thank you to Emily of High Fiber Knits who attended with me, and I cannot wait to join another fiber event with you again. And yeah, I think for the hosts, I think for the organizers of Knit Social, and Fiona, fantastic job. For Bruna and Maria at Knitting Loft for hosting pretty much the entire weekend from what I've seen. The knitters that had made the trek up to the north of Toronto to go and visit them. And a big thank you for you being here. If we were able to connect in person, amazing. If I missed you, I'm so sorry. And I hope that we can connect in some way soon again. So let me know what tips that I may have missed that allow you to enjoy your best knitting festival, to help out our community so they can have the best time for them. And let me know where you're going to next. I've got tickets to an upcoming knitting event that's going to be happening this summer. I'm not announcing yet because I still have to get some things in order. But yeah, this isn't my last one. I'm gearing up for all knitting goodness very soon. I thank you so much for joining me today as we went through and relived all of Knit City Toronto 2024, and in conjunction with the tips and tricks that I feel like I shared of my top 10 ways to enjoy your best knitting festival. If you enjoyed this episode, others like it, I invite you to like and subscribe to the account to continue to grow the knitting community here. If you are feeling a little more, I invite you to click below and click on the Ko-Fi link where you can consider donating a coffee to me. And I think that is it. Until next time, I'll be sharing about my tulip sweater and a couple other objects that I've been feverishly knitting up and working on. So that's that. I hope you find great joy in your knitting today, and until next time, take care.